comes from Jason. He's in California. He goes, Greg, great site, brother. Love everything from the music selection to your informational videos. I was wondering, what is your take on healthy fats, such as flaxseed oil, fish oil, and etc.? Since you do not eat many carbs, where do you get all your additional calories from? I assume it's fats. Thanks a lot, Jason. Okay, fats, man. Wow. Here's the skinny on fats, or the pH fatty fat. You got the good, the bad, and the ugly. Not so long ago, fats were considered just bad across the board. We tried to eliminate them. In recent years, again, like I was talking about in that carbohydrate confusion one, things change. Things are always changing and evolving. So you always got to be up on it. So this is the current information on fats. What are fats? This whole video, first I'm going to go into fats, right? Give you a skinny what they all are. The good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Then I'm going to tell you how many fats you need, for your body and everything else. And then I'm going to tell you how to reduce the fat, what kind of cardio you do to reduce the fat. Then I'm going to go into your BMI and your body fat percentage. And finally, I'm going to make sense of all these numbers. Because if you think about it, it's a crazy world. We got these, counting these calories, these carbs, and it's just, how do you do all that crap? We got to live, right? We can't walk around with a calculator. So we're going to make it real simple and tell you how I've done it and how I've formed different areas that I stay within. And I know if I'm in that area, it's good. More of that to follow. But first, fats. Why are fats good? Well, nutrition and vitamin absorption, that's what fats do. It also cell membrane integrity within your body, helps to transport the nerve transmissions in your body, helps your hair and your skin, keeps you insulated from the cold. I mean, there's a lot of good things about fats. But just like everything in life, guys, too much of a good thing it's a bad thing, And you get too much fat buildup, then all the good it does, it turns into a counter fat, and it can cause strokes and heart diseases. And America is the most obese country out there, and we're loaded in it. So what are the fats? There's good things about fats, and there's within the fats, just like the carbohydrates, right? They are not all created equal. In fats, the good fats, right? The ones that are good for you are your unsaturated fats, your monounsaturated fats, and then your polyunsaturated fats. What are those things? They are the monounsaturated fats are your nuts, basically, your peanuts, your almonds, walnuts, that kind of stuff. Where your polyunsaturated fats, a little bit less stable once in your body, they're liquid form, both unsaturated. The polyunsaturated fats are a little bit less stable once in your body, but those are the flaxseed oils. Your omega-3 and omega-6, really good for respiratory things, circulation, your brain functions, brain development, and reproduction. When a kid's really young and growing, those omega-3 and omega-6s, those are your essential fatty acids. I mean essential, your body cannot produce them naturally. The only way your body gets them is by coming in. So why are these fats good? Well, it increases your HDL cholesterol and decreases your LDL cholesterol. Or what's cholesterol? Cholesterol basically is 3 different categories. Cholesterol first cannot be transported throughout the body on its own. It has to move from cell to cell by a carrier. Those carriers are called lipoproteins. And there's 2 different types. There's an LD lipoprotein, which is a low density lipoprotein, acronym is LDL, and there's a high density lipoprotein, HDL. The LDLs are bad, and the HDLs are good. Besides those 2, there's also triglycerides. Triglycerides are fats that are formed within the body. It's not fat you're eating, it's fats that are formed in the body. Mainly in people that are obese and overweight, they have an abundance of triglycerides. Really bad for a lot of different diseases out there, guys. But let's focus on the LDL and the HDL. Why is the LDL bad? The low density. The low density lipoprotein is because imagine you got you got a river, right? And the river is kind of moving slow, and you throw in a little boat, right? And it's moving so slow, that boat has higher chance, right, of getting caught in something, a stick or a rock, and getting stuck on the bank of the river, right? And then another boat comes by, gets stuck on that, and all of a sudden the river that was this big is now coming down a little bit more narrow. Understand? Where if the boat was heavier, right, and the flow was faster, more rapid, then that HDL, the high density boat, would push through that. That's a good cholesterol, the HDL. The LDL, low cholesterol, is bad because it's going so slow. and it's low density, it's not moving that fast, so it's getting caught and actually starts to build up and starts to close down your artery walls. When that closes down, what happens? All of a sudden, oxygenated blood to your brain and everything else is moving at a decreased level. It causes a lot of problems, guys, and that buildup can close your arteries off, and then it's really bad. HDL is really good. Back to the fats. The reason why I bring this up because the unsaturated fats, right? Your mono and polyunsaturated fats decrease your LDL carriers and increase your HDL. So they're good fats. HDL, unsaturated fats, actually help you to lose weight, believe it or not. Okay, so that's a good fats. The bad fats are your saturated fats, mainly your animal fat products, your dairy, your eggs, your meats and stuff. Animal fats you put into your body are saturated fats, meaning it increases your LDL, your low density lipoproteins, right? It doesn't do anything to your high density ones, but it increases your LDLs, right? That's why it's bad. But there's also even a worse fat called a trans fat. Now, trans fat is a fat that doesn't really exist. It was scientifically created, and they hydrogenized the fat solubles, so it makes them stable. Like you have an unsaturated fat, right? That's liquid room temperature. Your saturated fats are solid room temperature. Your trans fats don't exist. The scientists went in there and made them so that they are more stable in food, mainly all processed food. Why? So there's a higher shelf life when they go to sell it. You're going to find those things in all your packaged goods, all your fast food and fried stuff, and your French fries. All that stuff is trans fats. Now, back in 2006, they actually made it a rule because trans fats used to be called the hidden fats because no one knew about it, and they weren't legally bound on a company to say how much trans fats are in this stuff. You know, Twinkie, it lasts like 30 years and shit. Not good for the body, man. Again, caveman diet. Wasn't food 100 years ago, not food now. Back to trans fats. Now, since 2006, it's required that there's no more hidden fats and trans fats. You have to disclose that information. So look at those trans fats, guys. Those trans fats, what do? Well, they increase the LDL, the bad cholesterol, and what do? The good ones, the HDL, they decrease that mofo. So it's the worst of the worst. All these major diseases. Harvard School did a study and said that if we eliminate, as Americans in general, if we eliminate all the trans fats in the world, right? I mean, that we eat, 1/4 of a million cases of heart attacks and heart problems and diseases would be eliminated. We wouldn't have them anymore. So 250,000 of these heart attacks that happen every year directly correlated to trans fat consumption. If we just take it out of the picture, we took care of that problem. Well, they taste so good, right? So all we're worried about is satisfying the appetite, not fueling the body. So they're the worst fats you can do. Good fats are your unsaturated, your mono and poly unsaturated fats, where you have the omega-3 and 6 essential fatty acids, the only two that your body cannot produce. It has to be, you have to eat them. Great for brain function, respiratory, circulation, reproduction, kids growing up. You know, that in those first 5-6 years, essential. That's why they call it essential fatty acids, guys. You need them. Flaxseed oil, that Jason writes in about, is one of those things. So those are basically the fats, right? How much fat do we take? Well, it says 30% of your caloric intake a day is, you know, 1/3 basically of your calories should be fat calories. Now, when I said fats aren't all created equal, they aren't, right? But in the calorie war, they are. Meaning 1 good gram of fat of unsaturated, or 1 bad gram of fat of saturated, or 1 worse gram of fat, being a trans fat, all equal 9 calories. So the more fat you're consuming, no matter if it's good, bad, or ugly, right, is going to be 9 calories times however many grams you're eating. They're saying 1/3 of your caloric intake should be your fats a day. Now, take that for what you will. We're going to get into that more a little bit later. But more on fats, okay. Your body fat percentage, right? And then your body mass index. A lot of people are confused. Your body mass index is just a table of your height and your weight and how much you should weigh at a certain height, right? And it's a number, right? Your body fat percentage is another number. That's based on your age, your weight, your height, and then they start doing calipers all around your body. There's a lot of different tests. Some of them are more scientific than other ones. Some are electrodes that go from your toe to your thumb and generate, like thousands of numbers that go into this big calculation, and the margin of variance is like 0.01%. Then the submergent ones, where the level margin is like 0.1%. Then there's something I did in the military, tape test, where they do your waist and your neck and your arm and stuff, and based on your height and weight, they come up with this thing real fast. So if you blow your neck up, you can, drop like 4 or 5% of your body fat and pass the military standards. So whenever you guys are doing body fat percentages, make sure you're doing something that's accurate. Don't do, like, the calipers are okay, much better than the tape. The electrolysis and the submersions are much better, more accurate, but they cost money, guys. So take that into consideration. For men and for women, your body fat percentages are going to be different. Obviously, women have a lot of ovaries and reproduction organs that hold a lot of fat naturally. It's almost a 10% difference margin. Meaning, they say a healthy human, right? A healthy male, in his 20 to 40-year-old category, right? 8% body fat is prime. Prime. Olympic athletes and stuff are probably around 5. You need 3% just to live, all your organs. So some of these fitness models are calling and saying, I was down to 2% body fat. They're blowing smoke up your ass, guys. It's a lot of bullshit. Or they say, I was 2.2% body fat. I'm sorry, did you just spend $1,500 on a test to get that done? I don't think so, man. So stop bullshitting the world, because you're dead already. You can't be that. And if you were that, I'm looking at your picture, man, you're looking about like 12% body fat. So don't fucking bullshit me. Either way, it doesn't really matter what your body fat percentage is. You're not going to see abs, though, until you leave single digits. I'm going to tell you that right now. Now, for women, that 8% for men is like 18% for women. So, you're like, wow, 18%. 18% of the body is fat. Wow, that's that person's out of shape. No, not so much, because women, again, hold all those reproductive organs and stuff that are naturally fat. And most guys like girls that have nice fatty breast tissue, too. Anyway, enough on that. Okay, so, on that carbohydrate confusion thing I was telling you guys about, I was giving you all these different numbers, about 0.25 to 0.5 per pound is what I'm eating a day in carbohydrates. 1.5 to 2 per pound is the protein, and then 0.2 to 0.3% per pound is what my fat intake is and everything else. And you start thinking, okay, and now this fat percentage thing is 30% of your caloric intake. So you're taking 2,000 calories, 30% of that is your fat, calories divided by 9, which is your fat grams. That's another number. It's almost overwhelming, guys. So this is what I suggest you do. And Jason, to answer your email here in a long form, spend one day of hard work, right, where you actually have the pen, the paper, and the calculator out. And I want you to eat normally, whatever you're doing. Not because, don't look at it like a snapshot. I want an accurate day from you guys. I want you to go out and eat as much as you can of what your normal daily thing is. Don't alter it, If you're altering it, you're just cheating yourself. Just do a normal day, and write down everything you're eating. Every calorie, every carb, every protein, every fat, okay? Add all of that up, right? Once you add all that up, then you know where you are right now, okay? Because where you are, you can't get there until you know where your start point is. Once you know your start point, then you know how much distance to the finish line. Otherwise you're traveling blindly, We don't need that. Let's do everything efficiently, guys. So I'm going to do one day of hard work, guys, and count everything up, all your numbers, right? Then you know exactly on your average day what your consumption is. I'm talking about if you're drinking beers, if you're eating McDonald's, if you're eating clean, whatever you're eating sushi one day, if you're eating ice cream at nighttime, if you're doing cereal, oatmeal in the morning, whatever it is, the good, the bad, and everything else, add it all up the best you can. Now, obviously, if you go out to a restaurant, it's hard to get those calories and everything else, but at least do your best guess on those things. Or for one day, kind of just eat everything that you know the numbers for. Once you have those numbers, now we have a start point, don't we? Now we know where to go. Once we know where to go, then we know, and why I say that is because, like, if you're eating like 45% to 65% of fat, which is a lot of Americans are doing, and then their other margin right there is probably the same in carbohydrates, and the excess is just your protein. That's the obesity of Americans live in. By the way, the 30% of fat that we're taking, 7% of that 30% should be your saturated fat. 1% of that should be the trans fat. The remaining, which is 22%, is your unsaturated fats, is what the book says. So how do we add all these numbers? Once you have your start point, you know exactly how much you're actually taking in. All I want you to do is alter that a little bit, guys. Alter a little bit. I want the low-no diet, man. Low-no on carbs. You can add up your pounds that way, right? If, hey, I'm 200 pounds and I just took in 150 carbs today. Well, you're a little bit more than I am if you're going down the same road. Because I'm 0.25 to 0.5. How do I know those numbers? Because I did exactly what I'm telling you guys to do. And how do I know I keep doing it? It's because once I got into that rhythm, right, of where I was, then what I decided is that I cannot continue adding all these things up every day. I don't have the time, the patience, or I'm just too intelligent for that crap, So this is what I did. I went on here, I found out, okay, good fats, right, are your unsaturated fats. Your nuts, your walnuts, your all your nut stuff, your flaxseed oils, all your omega-3s, omega-6s, your cooking oils, and stuff like that. Good fats, right? Okay, so that goes into my fat category. And there's a spectrum of here to here of good stuff in fats that I can eat, right? Then I go into my carbohydrates, and where they are. Carbohydrates, you got the sugar stuff, you got your veggies, and then you got your wheat products. I like the veggies, guys. That's the best carbohydrates for you. So I grab all the variety of veggies, and I put them in my carbohydrate section, right? And then I go into my proteins. What are the best proteins, The lean, your fishes, which is salmon, which is an animal product, which is a great polysaccharide, because of the omega-3s and 6s in there. Good fats in that, So you get a little bit of fat there too, but tons of protein. Along with chicken and, other fish and tuna fish and turkey and stuff, white meats and stuff. Boom, they're my proteins. Well, what is that? Well, that's my fats, my carbohydrates, and my proteins. So now I know a window of good shit, and that, and that. And if I eat something in that, and something in that, and something in that, one, I'm getting my daily intake of what I need, carbs, fats, and proteins, as well as staying within the parameter of what's healthy for my profession to grow to my goals. There is no more guesswork. I'll throw the calculator away. Because I know if I stay in these 3 windows, right, then I'm within the general picture of where I want to go. I know I'm fueling my body with the right shit I need to get to my body physically where I need to go after the hard work in the gym and everything else. So that would be my advice to you guys. Hopefully you guys understand that this is exactly what I did when I first started out. And it seems kind of like complicated at first and a lot of work to do. But all you have to do is just work one time, right? Do it one time, you learn it, and then all you do is repeat it. It's like someone, on a theater, It's a rehearsal and you keep redoing the same show. Don't need to worry about it anymore. It's done, check the box. Now let's get into a lifting program, because that's the special one. That's where it starts dicing up, keep shocking the body. That's where it's really complicated. Your food, you keep it clean. Now you do that cheat meal, guys, like I'm telling you about, once a week or something, or early in the day, like the other preview I said, just to shock that up, to keep that guessing too. Because otherwise your body will learn how to do it very efficiently. Because you guys are putting all good stuff in there to do that, right? So your body's like, I don't need to work that hard. Metabolism drops, we want to keep the metabolism up. I'm not going to redo that video blog right now. So I think I answered all the questions. So real fast, the fats are really good for you guys, first off, right? Really good for you. For absorption of nutrients and vitamins, as well as nerve transmissions and cell molecular integrity, the skin in your hair, keeping you insulated in the cold. There's a lot of benefits of fat, but like everything, too much is bad. The good fats are the unsaturated, your mono and your poly, because both of them decrease your LDLs, increase your HDLs. So your low density ones, once they get clogged up, it lowers them, and it increases your high density ones that actually push everything through. Now cholesterol cannot be carried through on its own. It has to be transported in these lipoproteins until it gets to the liver where it gets taken out of the body. Then you got into your saturated fats, which is your animal fats. Your saturated fats are your nuts and your oils and stuff. There are bad oils, so look it up though, guys. But stay with flaxseed oil is really good. Make it simple for you right now. But then you get into your saturated, which is basically all your animal fat, your meats, dairy, eggs, all those kind of things are your saturated fats. And your trans fats is just the shit that scientists created so they can make more money when a product on a shelf so there's a longer shelf life. Those kind of things are your French fries, your microwave popcorn, your hot dogs, your anything packaged basically is loaded with trans fat, guys. And because this 2006, they should have that number on there. Trans, again, they say 30% of your caloric intake is fats. 1% of that is okay on trans. I say get rid of fucking trans. You don't need it. It's not fueling the body, it's fueling the appetite there. You know, 7% of that 30% is your saturated fat, and then your unsaturated is the rest at 22%. I don't eat that much fat, guys, and honestly, I don't count fats. I don't count fucking carbs, I don't count fucking protein. I don't count anything. I counted it one time, and I stuck to it. And then, once I got that guy down, I kept that guy solid. Kept it the same. And then I went to the gym, and did something the same there, and found out where it went. Then I adjusted something small in the gym, keeping the same diet, and see where it went. Then I adjusted one, kept that same, adjusted one thing here, and see where it went. So you adjust one thing at a time to find out what it is. If you adjust here, 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 and you have success, you don't know which one it was. Make sense? Okay. Again, I'm getting long-winded. I'm just passionate about this, guys. Thanks for watching. Jason, good email. The fat intake. That's the skinny old fat, guys. Thanks for watching.